This is The Base by KeyBay Tech. Let's talk about it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at The Base by KeyBay Tech. This board's got some creative aesthetics, some unique design choices. If you're a fan of sparkly finishes, holographic back weights, and you don't mind some PCB layout restrictions, this might be the board for you. This board is designed and vendored by KeyBay Tech. They're based in Toronto, Canada, and in fact, the first time I've heard about them was their Chief Switch at the beginning of the HMX craze, and now they're releasing their very first board, the Base. There are many factors to consider when buying a board. For some people, the most important thing is the sound, and for some people, it's the feel. For my productive folks, it's all about the functionality, and yet, for some people, it's the aesthetics. And that's the first thing I noticed about this board is the finish. It's got a sparkly coating that was popularized by Matrix, and I can see some inspiration in the design language from Matrix and Gray Studios. It's got flair, and it's definitely going to stand out as it sits on your desk. So if you're into vibrant colors and sparkly finish, you're going to love this. However, part of what makes this board unique can also be a drawback for some users. It's got quite a limited PCB layout compatibility. It's got an interesting locked bottom row, a 6.25U modifier with a 7U spacebar. On top of that, there's only a full right shift, likely to accommodate the extra nav cluster. And with an extra nav cluster, you need to be careful with your keycap selection because you will need an additional R1, R2, and R3 keycaps on top of what you normally would need for a 75% keyboard. And if you're a fan of step caps lock, you'll be happy to know that it does support that. And that's about it. And this is one of the things I will recommend to KeyBay Tech is that for their future releases is to support more PCB layout compatibility. What about the build process? Honestly, the build experience is quite straightforward. There are only 4 simple K-screws and you can access the PCB assembly. One thing I did learn is that it is much easier to install the ribbon cable to the daughter board if you flip the PCB and the bottom case. This trick hopefully will save you some time and frustration. However, I did notice on my prototype unit that my daughter board was not screwed into the bottom case. It's not a big deal at all, but I do want to mention it here. I love to see the magnetic pogo connector for the daughter board in future revisions. This will make swapping out parts even simpler. Another recommendation? Magnetic screws. This will help avoid scratching up that gorgeous sparkly finish. This board has a very cool back weight. It reminds me of the hologram toys I used to play as a kid, and I love how it ties into the whole aesthetic. When it comes to typing feel, I'd say it's neither too soft nor too harsh. I did 2 builds, one with PC plate and all foam, and the other aluminum plate with no foam, both of them in gasket mount. And with the gasket mount, you get a more balanced, slightly cushioned typing experience. So if you're into comfort without being too bouncy, I think this hits a good sweet spot. Stay tuned for the sound test, and let me know in the comments down below which one you prefer. This board offers both top mount and gasket mount. And honestly, the top mount in this particular design is not my favorite. It just got a lot of resonance, especially if you build it foamless. And I suspect that's due to a lack of a heavier weight and the plate mounting points. However, the gasket mount in both foamless and foam builds, I thought it sounded pretty decent. There's a smart and accessible place for the USB dongle and it's super convenient. However, in certain builds, it can create a ping sound, so if you're super sensitive to that, keep that in mind. You can honestly just force break that little compartment and get rid of the ping. There's an LED under the top right badge, though I think having a diffuser there will help cutting down the light bleed. I also think they could offer a wired only option. That could free up space to put a heavier weight in the battery compartment and counteract some of that resonance. It's a bit of a trade-off, but I think it could be worth it for those who prefer a more solid, heavier typing experience. And one more tip. Use a plastic keycap puller or go ahead and take the whole top case off when you are removing your keycaps. The space around the caps are pretty tight and you really don't want to scratch that finish. So who is this keyboard for? If you are all about the aesthetics, the matrix style sparkly finish, the hologram-like back weight, and you don't mind some PCB layout restrictions, this is a fantastic board for you. It's got a comfortable typing feel and got some really cool design elements. It's clearly aimed at people who value aesthetics first and foremost. That said, the layout compatibility is pretty limited, so be ready to pick out the right keycap sets or maybe pick up some extra novelties to cover the extra nav cluster. I will say, the starting price of $169, it is pretty well priced considering how many extra small parts needs to be CNC with all the accents and badges. Overall, I think this is a stylish and fun keyboard with a few quirks that might not be for everybody. But if it speaks to your aesthetic, you're gonna love it. That's it for this review. If you find it helpful, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more custom keyboard content. Let me know in the comments down below if you're planning on picking this one up and what colors will you be getting. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you in the next video.